I always knew I was the extra in my family. The forgotten daughter. The afterthought. But nothing confirmed it more than what happened on the day of my brother's high school graduation. River was everything to my parents. Star athlete, straight-A student, charismatic and charming in a way that made people instantly gravitate toward him. Meanwhile, I, Skye, was the quiet one. The one who stayed home on weekends, worked part-time at the library, tutored younger kids, and kept my head down. Mom always said River was going places, and I guess I just wasn't invited. That afternoon, our backyard was transformed into a full-blown celebration. White and blue streamers, "Congratulations River." Banners, catered food, music blasting through rented speakers, like it was a wedding or something. Relatives I hadn't seen in years showed up in droves, all for River. Nobody even noticed me. I stood off to the side, next to the lemonade table, nursing a lukewarm cup as I watched everyone swarm around him. He was opening presents, laughing, showing off his varsity leather jacket like he was a celebrity. My parents beamed with pride like they had raised a future president. Then, Dad clapped his hands to get everyone's attention. "We have one more surprise for the man of the hour," he announced, puffing his chest out like a peacock. "River, son, come on over." Everyone gathered near the garage, and I knew something big was about to happen. I stood back, watching from the edge of the crowd. Dad hit a button on a key fob and the garage door creaked open. Inside sat a shiny, cherry red Toyota Camry with a big gold bow on top. Gasps and cheers erupted all around. River's jaw dropped in performative shock, though I could tell he already knew. Of course he knew. "A brand new car?" he exclaimed, playing it up for the audience. Mom handed him the keys and kissed his cheek. "You earned it, honey." Applause. Hugs. Camera flashes. And me? I stood frozen, invisible as always, the lemonade cup shaking in my hand. I didn't expect a car, not even close, but what happened next burned into me more than anything. Later that evening, once most of the guests had left, Mom found me in the kitchen rinsing out dishes. "Oh, Skye," she said like she just remembered I existed. "We didn't forget about you." She reached into her purse and pulled out a plain white envelope. Smiling, she handed it to me like it was some grand gesture. I opened it slowly, heart thudding with some tiny flicker of hope. Inside was a one-way Greyhound bus ticket. To Tucson. My aunt's place. For a week. "For when you graduate in 2 weeks," she said. "You can go relax with Aunt Sharon for a bit." She said you could help her clean out her garage. I blinked at the ticket, then at her. "That's it?" I asked, my voice quieter than I wanted it to be. "What do you mean?" she asked, genuinely confused. "River got a car. And I get this?" Mom sighed, like I was being difficult. "River's going to college. He needs to get around. And you could use some time away. Clear your head." "Clear my head?" I nodded slowly, heart dropping into a pit I didn't know I had. She didn't see me. She never did. "Thanks," I mumbled and tucked the ticket back in the envelope. I went upstairs and closed my bedroom door before the tears could spill. That night, I cried myself to sleep. Not because I wanted a car, but because of what the ticket meant. It was a message: we don't expect much from you. We don't see you. But the thing about breaking points is that they can also be turning points. The next day, I told my best friend Jessa everything. We met at the local coffee shop we always went to after school. She was furious, more furious than I was. "They gave you a bus ticket like you're being shipped off to nowhere?" she nearly shouted, slamming her cup down. I shrugged, ashamed. "Yeah. I guess they think I'm just supposed to disappear." Jessa leaned forward. "No. You are not disappearing. We're going to make sure that at your graduation, people see you." I gave a dry laugh. "And how are we going to do that?" She raised her eyebrows, the spark in her eyes already forming a plan. "We're going to make an entrance." "What kind of entrance?" Jessa grinned. "Ever seen someone roll up to graduation in a limo?" I blinked. "A limo?" "Yes. Picture it. Everyone in their caps and gowns, milling around, and then you step out of a sleek black stretch limo, sunglasses on, like a freaking rock star. Your parents won't know what hit them." I laughed for the first time in days. "Okay, but that sounds insanely expensive." "Not if we split it. You've got your tutoring money, I've got savings from babysitting, and my cousin works at a car service. I'll ask for a discount." We spent the next hour sketching out the plan, and for the first time in a long while, I felt something I hadn't in years: power. Control. I wasn't going to sit quietly and accept being treated like I didn't matter. If I had to rent a limo just to be noticed, then so be it. Graduation was 2 weeks away, and I was going to show up in style, not for them, but for me. Because I deserved to be seen. The morning of graduation felt surreal. The sun had barely risen, casting soft light through Skye's bedroom window, but she was already wide awake. Her cap and gown hung neatly on the door, a small symbol of the milestone she was about to cross. Today wasn't just about finishing high school. For Skye, it was about reclaiming her voice. For 18 years, she had been the girl who sat quietly in the corner while her parents fawned over her older brother, River. While he got applause, attention, and accolades, Skye learned to swallow her hurt with silence. That all changed 2 weeks ago when they handed her a bus ticket on River's graduation day, as if her dreams were worth nothing more than a ride out of town. But today was hers. She smoothed her dress, a simple yet elegant blue number she'd thrifted and tailored herself. Her reflection in the mirror looked different this morning, not just older, but braver. Confident. She grabbed her phone and sent one text, "On my way." Outside, a sleek black limousine waited at the curb, gleaming under the morning sun like a symbol of everything she was never supposed to have. The driver, a kind man named Luis she had met through a local car service, tipped his cap and opened the door for her with a smile. "You ready for this?" he asked. Skye inhaled deeply. More than ever. She'd paid for this limo herself, every dollar saved from late-night tutoring gigs, babysitting neighbor kids, and helping her biology teacher organize the lab storage. She'd sacrificed movies, shopping trips, and fast food runs just to make today possible. And now, her silent rebellion was about to become very loud. As the limo rolled through town, she imagined her parents' faces when they saw her step out. For once, they wouldn't be able to ignore her. She wasn't coming quietly. The school parking lot was already packed when the limo pulled up. Parents held bouquets, balloons bobbed in the air, and clusters of students in caps and gowns posed for photos. But as the long, black car rolled to a stop in front of the auditorium, conversation halted. Heads turned. The crowd parted like a wave as Skye stepped out, her black cap catching the light, tassel swaying gently in the breeze. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she walked, chin lifted, spine straight. Every step was deliberate. Every breath reminded her, "I am not invisible." Gasps rippled through the students. A few of her classmates whispered her name. "Is that Skye Bennett? Wait, did she just roll up in a limo? Dang, she looks amazing." Skye smiled politely but didn't stop to chat. She had one goal: walk past her family without flinching. Make them see what they've spent years overlooking. And there they were. Her mother clutched her handbag tightly, squinting at the limo as if trying to comprehend the moment. Her father looked mildly confused, checking his watch as if the extravagance was an inconvenience. And River, always quick with sarcasm, arched a brow, smirk already forming. "Well, just look who decided to go full Hollywood," he drawled as she approached. Skye paused. "It's called celebrating. I figured it's worth doing, since not everyone gets a car thrown at them for graduating." River snorted. "So you blew your allowance on a limo? That's cute." "It wasn't allowance," she said firmly. "It was my money. I worked for this." Her mother stepped in, voice tight. "Skye, this is really unnecessary. Graduation is about humility, not showing off." Skye's jaw tensed. She wanted to scream, to shout all the years of neglect into their faces, but she didn't. Instead, she looked her mother dead in the eyes and said calmly, "You didn't say that when River got his car." Silence. Her father shifted uncomfortably, glancing at other parents nearby who were now clearly eavesdropping. Skye didn't care. Let them listen. Jessa, her best friend, rushed over then, saving her from the growing tension. "Skye, you look incredible. That limo entrance? Iconic." Skye smiled genuinely now. "Thanks. I wanted to make today count." And she had. Every minute of it. As the ceremony began and graduates filed into their rows, Skye felt a wave of emotions wash over her: pride, relief, and something new, freedom. When her name was called and she crossed the stage, the auditorium erupted into applause, louder than she expected. Somewhere in the back, she heard Jessa whistle. She searched for her family in the crowd. Her mom clapped, but it was hesitant. Her dad looked like he was still processing everything. And River? He stared, arms crossed, unimpressed. That was fine. Skye wasn't looking for their approval anymore. After the ceremony, Cameras flashed and people gathered for pictures. Skye posed with Jessa, her teachers, even a few classmates who had never spoken to her before. The limo still sat waiting at the edge of the lot, shiny and regal. River walked past her once more, muttering, "Enjoy the spotlight. It won't last." Skye turned to him, voice cool. "It's not about the spotlight, River. It's about not letting people like you decide whether I deserve it." He didn't respond. Later, as the limo drove her and Jessa to a small dinner she'd planned for just the two of them, no parents, no lectures, Skye looked out the window and let herself breathe. This day had been hers. For once, she had taken up space. And even if her parents never truly saw her, the world had. More importantly, she had seen herself. And she wasn't invisible anymore. The morning after graduation felt different. There was no celebration at home, no lingering joy in the air, just silence and tension thick enough to choke on. Skye sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee slowly, as if the heat would soothe the sting still burning inside her. Her parents hadn't said much the night before. But that silence hadn't felt peaceful. It was the kind that held judgment, the kind that made you feel like a stranger in your own home. Her mother finally broke it. "You made a scene, Skye." Skye looked up. "I made a statement." Her dad set his newspaper down. "You embarrassed us. That limousine was completely unnecessary. Was the brand new car you gave River unnecessary too?" She shot back, unable to keep the edge out of her voice. "That's different," her mom said, her tone clipped. "River's always been responsible. He deserved it." Skye felt something inside her twist, tight and cold. "And I haven't?" Before they could answer, River strolled into the room like he owned it, which in many ways, he seemed to. "Still mad you didn't get a car, Skye? You seriously rented a limo with your tutoring money just to show off? That's pathetic." "I wasn't showing off. I was showing up, for myself." He laughed and shook his head. "Whatever helps you sleep at night." The conversation ended there, but the damage was done. Skye excused herself, walked upstairs, and closed her door quietly. The walls in her room had always felt like a cage, but now they felt like they were pressing in tighter, suffocating her. She stared at the boxes she'd never unpacked from the last time she thought she might leave for college out of state, before her parents insisted she stay local to help out. She was tired. Tired of the double standards. Tired of shrinking herself to make space for her brother's ego. Tired of being invisible. That night, while her parents watched TV and River scrolled through his phone in the living room, Skye packed. She called Jessa. "Can I stay with you for a while?" Jessa didn't even hesitate. "You should have asked weeks ago." By morning, Skye was gone. Jessa's place was small, barely a two-bedroom, but it felt like freedom. No judgmental glances. No passive-aggressive silence. Just warmth and understanding. Jessa even made pancakes on Skye's first morning there. They sat cross-legged on the couch, syrup dripping onto paper plates, sunlight pouring in through the open blinds. "So," Jessa said between bites, "what's the plan now?" Skye smiled for the first time in days. "I want to get into event planning." Jessa raised an eyebrow. "Like weddings and stuff?" "Weddings, fundraisers, big corporate things. I've always been good at organizing things. And I actually enjoy it." Jessa grinned. "You'd be amazing at that. Where do we start?" The next few weeks flew by in a blur of job applications, resume edits, and mock interviews. Skye spent her days hunched over Jessa's laptop at the kitchen table, researching companies, writing cover letters, watching YouTube videos on how to nail interviews. Every rejection email stung, but she refused to give up. She knew her parents thought she'd come crawling back once she realized life wasn't easy. But she didn't want easy. She wanted her life to be her own. Then, one Monday morning, it happened. She opened her email and froze. The subject line read, "Interview invitation, Ashton and Vale Events." Her heart pounded. "Jessa!" She screamed, practically falling out of her chair. "I got one. I got an interview." Jessa rushed out of the bathroom, toothbrush still in hand. "What? With who?" Skye read aloud. "Ashton and Vale Events would like to invite you for an interview for the junior event coordinator position this Friday." Jessa squealed, foamy toothpaste spilling down her chin. "Yes. Girl, you better show up to that interview like you just stepped off a Vogue cover." All week, they prepped. Skye borrowed a blazer from Jessa's older sister and practiced her answers in front of the mirror every night. She watched videos about body language, common interview mistakes, How to appear confident even when your stomach is in knots. By Friday morning, she was ready. She stood in front of the mirror, smoothing the sleeves of her blazer, staring at herself, not the girl who rode in a limo to prove a point, not the girl who had to beg for attention, but someone new. Someone bolder. Stronger. Freer. She arrived at Ashton and Vale's office 10 minutes early. The building was modern and sleek, with glass walls and warm lighting. She took a deep breath before walking in. The receptionist smiled. "You must be Skye." She nodded. "Yes. I'm here for the interview. Take a seat. Miss Vale will be with you shortly." Skye sat down, heart racing, palms slightly sweaty. But she reminded herself, this was what she wanted. She had earned this. When Miss Vale appeared, Skye stood tall, smiled, and extended her hand. "Thank you for seeing me," she said confidently. The interview lasted 30 minutes. They asked about her experience planning school events, how she handled difficult situations, what made her passionate about the field. Skye spoke honestly. She didn't try to sound perfect, just real. By the end of it, Miss Vale smiled and said, "You've got a spark, Skye. We'll be in touch." Walking out of the building, Skye felt like the weight of the last 18 years had finally started to lift. Whether or not she got the job, she had done something for herself, for her future. She had chosen to rise, to fight, to break free. That night, she and Jessa sat on the apartment balcony, feet up on an old cooler, sharing a pint of cookie dough ice cream. "You know," Jessa said, nudging her, "no matter what happens, you did it. You walked away from people who didn't see you and started building something on your own. That takes guts." Skye leaned back, looking at the stars. "I don't want to live in anyone's shadow anymore." "You're not in anyone's shadow," Jessa said softly. "You're making your own light now." Skye smiled. For the first time in her life, she believed it. The email came on a Tuesday morning, nestled between spam and discount codes. Skye had almost missed it, until she saw the subject line, "Offer of Employment, Ashton and Vale Events." She gasped. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. They offered her the position. Junior Event Coordinator. Full-time. Benefits. A real salary. A real start. She screamed so loudly that Jessa came flying out of her room, half-dressed and mid-toast. "What? What happened? Are we being robbed?" Skye jumped up from the kitchen table, waving her phone like a victory flag. "I got the job, Jess. I got the job." Jessa shrieked and hugged her, spilling coffee everywhere. They danced around the apartment in their pajamas, laughing like kids. In that moment, nothing else mattered, no pain from the past, no bitterness about what she'd endured. This was Skye's win. But the surprises weren't over. Later that afternoon, her phone buzzed again, this time with a call from an unknown number. Curious, she answered. "Hello? Skye? It's Walter. Your grandfather." She nearly dropped her phone. Walter. Her mother's father. The man she hadn't seen in over a decade. He'd been estranged from the family for reasons never clearly explained, just muttered insults and silence. Skye had vague memories of him from childhood, the smell of cigars, warm hugs, the way he used to sneak her butterscotch candies when her mom wasn't looking. "Hi. Wow. I didn't expect to hear from you. I heard you got the job," he said. "Congratulations." She blinked. "How? Did you hear?" There was a pause. "I may have nudged a few people at Ashton and Vale. One of the co-founders, Elise Vale, is a friend. She owed me a favor." Skye sat down slowly. Her heart swelled with something she hadn't felt from a family member in so long, pride. Not the kind given begrudgingly or wrapped in conditions. Pure, sincere pride. "You helped me get the interview?" "I only opened the door," he said. "You walked through it on your own." Tears pricked the corners of her eyes. "Thank you. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. Just, maybe let me take you to lunch sometime?" She agreed, and that Saturday they met at a quiet little bistro near downtown. He looked older, of course, with silver hair and a cane, but his eyes still held that same twinkle of mischief she remembered from childhood. Over soup and sandwiches, they talked. Really talked. About everything, her family, her dreams, the years in between. He told her how he'd fallen out with her mother over how she treated people, especially Skye. "I always saw something in you," he said. "You remind me a lot of your grandmother. Strong-willed. Brave. The kind of woman who doesn't wait around for the world to notice her, she carves out her own space." Skye's throat tightened. I always thought you forgot about me. Never, he said firmly. I was waiting for the right time. And now, here you are. For the first time, someone in her family saw her. Truly saw her. But the peace didn't last long. A week into her new job, she received a text from her mother. River's being honored at the County Scholars Banquet this Friday. You should come. 7 p.m. at the Civic Center. Dress nice. There was no mention of the past few months. No apology. No acknowledgement of the silence or the sting of being overlooked. Just a casual command, as if nothing had changed. Skye stared at the message for a while. Part of her wanted to ignore it. But a deeper part, the one that still held the shred of hope for closure, decided to go. She didn't dress to impress them. She wore a simple black dress, classy and confident. When she entered the Civic Center, her heels clicked with purpose across the marble floors. Her mother spotted her first, eyes widening slightly before smoothing into that tight, polite smile she always wore for public occasions. Skye, she said. You made it. Skye nodded. I got your text. Her father offered a stiff nod. River smirked from across the table. You're just in time, her mom said. River's award is coming up. Skye sat quietly as the ceremony unfolded. She clapped when the others clapped, smiled when expected. But her mind wandered. When River's name was called and he stepped onto the stage, Skye felt a familiar wave of invisibility creeping in, but she shook it off. Not this time. After the applause faded, she stood. All eyes turned to her. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cause a scene. But her words carried all the weight of the years she spent being invisible. I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me tonight, she began. It gave me the chance to finally see things clearly. Her mother's face tightened. Skye, this isn't the time. No, Skye said calmly. It's the perfect time. For so long, I tried to earn your approval. I thought if I worked harder, stayed quiet, helped out, you'd see me. But I was never going to be enough for you, was I? Her father shifted uncomfortably. River rolled his eyes. Oh come on, don't do this. I'm not doing anything to you, River, Skye said, locking eyes with him. I'm doing this for me. She turned back to her parents. I have a job now. A real one. I have my own place, my own life. And I'm not asking for a pat on the back. I'm just letting you know, I'm done chasing people who won't clap for me. She stepped away from the table, her back straight, her head high. The room had gone quiet. As she walked toward the exit, her heart thudded, not from nerves, but from liberation. She didn't need to yell. She didn't need revenge. All she needed was this moment, her truth, spoken aloud. Outside, the air was cool. The stars were out. She called Walter on the way home. I did it, she said. He chuckled. I knew you would. Skye smiled into the night. For the first time in her life, she wasn't walking away in pain, she was walking away in power. Mornings used to be heavy for Skye, laden with dread, silence, and the ache of feeling unwanted. But now, they began with light. She stepped into Ashton and Vale's sunlit office each day with purpose in her stride. She loved the scent of fresh-cut peonies on the reception desk, the hum of creativity in the planning room, the rush of making beautiful moments happen. Skye had found her rhythm here, an elegant balance of structure and passion. She was thriving. In just a few months, she'd gone from pouring coffee to managing small events on her own. Elise Vale, the company's co-founder, had taken her under her wing, challenging her with real responsibilities. Skye never flinched. She was building a reputation, not just as a reliable employee but as someone who could be trusted with people's most important milestones. And through it all, Walter, her grandfather, was never far away. They met for dinner weekly, sometimes at the same quiet bistro, sometimes at his house where he'd attempt to cook, badly, and she'd laugh at his stubborn refusal to use recipes. Their bond deepened as Skye finally asked questions she'd buried for years. Why did you really stop talking to Mom? She asked one night over reheated lasagna. Walter sighed and set down his fork. Because she changed. When your grandmother died, something hardened in her. I tried to pull her back, but she started seeing love as a transaction. You were always the currency. Skye swallowed hard. I think she still does. Walter reached across the table and gently squeezed her hand. But you broke the cycle. You walked away. They spoke often about Skye's childhood, things Walter hadn't known. The little humiliations. The constant comparisons. The way she had to learn to clap for River's victories while no one ever clapped for hers. But the more she talked about it, the less it held power over her. Each story she told was like opening a dusty window. The light came in. The air changed. Her healing wasn't sudden, it came in pieces. It came when she negotiated her first raise. When she helped plan a wedding for a client who cried tears of joy. When she saw her name printed on an invitation as the lead coordinator. It also came in quieter ways. Like when she let go of checking her mother's social media. Or when she stopped replaying the bus ticket moment in her head. Or when she passed River on the street one afternoon and felt nothing, no anger, no hurt. Just peace. The scars were still there, but they weren't open wounds anymore. One rainy Sunday, Walter handed her an old photo album. Its leather was cracked, the corners worn, but inside were pages of forgotten history. "That's your mom in high school," he said, pointing to a black and white picture of a teenage girl with fierce eyes and soft curls. "She looks like me," Skye whispered. Walter nodded. "She had fire once. Just like you. But somewhere along the way, she let life dim it. Don't ever let that happen to you." Skye turned the pages slowly, absorbing her family's story, the parts no one had ever told her. The love. The pain. The dreams passed down like heirlooms. "I think I needed this," she said softly. "To understand where I come from." Walter smiled. "And to know you're not doomed to repeat it." Weeks passed, and spring melted into summer. Life no longer felt like something she had to escape, it felt like something she was building with her own hands. One morning, Elise called her into the office. "You've been doing incredible work," Elise said, motioning to a seat. "We want to move you into a lead coordinator role permanently. More clients. More pay. More visibility." Skye blinked. "Really?" Elise smiled. "You've earned it." The moment felt surreal. She had climbed so far from the shadows she once lived in. This wasn't about proving her worth to others anymore, it was about honoring it for herself. Later that night, she and Jessa toasted on the rooftop of their apartment with cheap champagne and Chinese takeout. "To not being the invisible girl anymore," Jessa said, raising her glass. Skye grinned. "To building something better." Still, the universe had one more full-circle moment in store. An invitation arrived in the mail. Not from her parents, but from a charity event hosted by the community where they still lived. Her name was listed as a featured planner, and River, coincidentally, was one of the speakers. "I don't think I'm going," she told Walter, showing him the envelope. "You don't have to," he said. "But if you do, go as yourself, not the girl who needed their validation." She thought about it for days. Not out of fear, but clarity. She was no longer chasing acceptance. But maybe it was time to show them who she'd become. When the night arrived, Skye walked in confidently, clipboard in hand, headset clipped to her ear. She wasn't a guest, she was running the show. People complimented her, admired her work, asked for her card. And then, across the room, she saw them. Her parents stood by the refreshment table. River was talking to a group of donors. None of them had expected her to be there like this, not as the girl who needed a ride home, but as the woman in charge. They stared for a beat too long. Skye offered a polite smile. They didn't come over. And that was okay. Because she didn't need them to. She didn't need a scene, a confrontation, or even an apology. She had already won. As the event wound down, she stepped outside onto the balcony. The night air was warm, the city buzzing softly in the distance. She felt something lift off her chest, a weight she'd carried for years. She pulled out her phone and texted Walter. "You were right. I made it. On my own." A few seconds later, his reply came through. "You didn't just make it, sweetheart. You became something unforgettable." Skye smiled, pocketed her phone, and looked up at the stars. This was her life now. Not perfect. Not painless. But fully hers. From forgotten daughter to empowered woman, Skye had finally stepped into her light. And she wasn't going back.